I mean, that's
and
fair.
try to adapt
I
it to
was
other
just thinking
things.
about like the nature having like weird monsters hiding in like urban
Hello,
areas.
hello, everyone. Also, Tyrus, you're still on cat person.
Oh, yeah, I needed my phone to get my Discord thing to get into Foogie.
Understandable. Sorry about the late start, y'all. We are a group of professional gamers. And sometimes you just gotta not play by the rules, even if you're the one who made them. And, you know, honestly, I was also just a little too distracted by talking about systems. Which reminds me, later I've got to tell y'all about a game system called Apocalypse Keys. But that's neither here nor there. It's in about 3+ hours. Alright, so welcome back, everyone, to Deadlands, Wayward Guns. I am gonna be going through and doing a quick recap, but before that, let's make sure that this command still works as proper. Okay. There we go. And let's go down the line and introduce ourselves if this is anyone's first episode. By the way, if this is anyone's first episode of this game, I am so sorry. You really should be starting way back.
I'm not sorry.
Oh, of course not. That's okay, though.
We're here to
No,
entice
this is
them to actually
Patrick.
bother watching the rest of it.
You know, honestly, your clip of your in-character laughter is my highest viewed channel clip. Which, like,
I believe it.
I'm not
Zenobia has a
complaining.
powerful aura.
I'm not complaining. Should I feel bummed that the most popular clip on my channel isn't actually mine? Maybe. Am I gonna care? No. Alright, but also, hey Raven, welcome. We're gonna go down the line there in alphabeticalized order, starting with Epitome of Awkward.
Why do I have to be first? I'm always last in alphabetical order.
Because I'm going by username, and you decided that you wanted to be named Epitome of Awkward.
Awkward.
Fair. Hi, I'm Epitome. I don't stream, so I don't really have anything to promote. I also don't have any health tips for you right now. Use sunscreen, I guess.
Yeah, that's always a smart one. Carrying down the list. Oh, darn, it is not the updated one. I'm going to have to update this. Carrying on down the list, next up is Parrot, as played by Hemlock.
Hello, I am Hemlock. I've got a little bit of a cold. I'm sorry. I stream. I do a lot of art. I have started doing hand cam stamp carving streams.
Ooh.
My last one, my exposure was up very high, but I have fixed the frames.
So you just looked super white?
It was very bright, and you couldn't see any of my carving.
Oh no. What was the color you were carving on that there was not enough contrast?
Black.
Oh god.
It's pink rubber, but I didn't dye the top layer. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of prep for like an in-person market, and so that has been my content. But I make models and I play video games badly.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Alrighty then. carrying on down. You know what? I'll just stick with the regular cast order and then do the and guest starring. So next up is Zenobia Morgana Whatley, as played by Obsidia.
Hey everyone, I'm Obsidia. I'm currently on hiatus. As some neat announcements was when I did my 3-year streamiversary and Trans Day of Visibility fundraiser, we raised over $1,000 for Trans Lifeline. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. And then for other stuff, next Monday I'm doing the first session / session 0 of a Curse of Strahd campaign with our very own Sif VTuber and some other good beans. It will not be live streamed, it's going to be recordings, but it will be a lot of fun and you should watch them when they exist. Sif is a good bean, put in a lot of work.
That's true. Hemlock sounds a little quiet compared to me. We had this issue when we've had this issue for a while.
And then I fucking fixed it. I fixed it.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The NB said they fixed it.
Also, I'm playing a goth girl in Curse of Strahd, so more goth girls if you like that.
I'm trying to think
to
of
the goth girls.
the last non-goth girl I've seen you play.
Rin wasn't a goth girl. She was just a big angry Oni lady.
She would have been goth, though.
She was very emo, but angry emo.
Oh my god, she would have been seen.
Oh, 100%.
She even had the big hair already.
She did. She had her Zentrea hair.
Just for that, Sif. Boom. Get observed.
We
get
seen. In this chat.
And last but not least, our special guest star here, Tyrus, playing Mary Stonecroft.
Her friends can call her Scarlet.
Does she have friends?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
I haven't streamed in I think 2 years. So I don't know if I can really call myself a streamer anymore. But maybe I'll get back to it. Other than that, I'm just a casual gamer that's like having fun. And gay shit. Lots of gay shit.
Alright.
Gay shit's good.
It is. And I'm B. If you are watching this, you probably know that already. But hey, I do a lot of stuff over here. Sometimes I'm a jackalope, sometimes I'm a middle-aged goblin. I'm also going to be starting another game soon, which I'm excited to announce. I have solidified, for now at least, knock on wood, the potential lineup of players. So now I just need to figure out together what else we're doing in that game. But anywho, tonight is not about that game, it's about this game. So, last time on Deadlands, Wayward Guns, the posse had moseyed on into St. Louis, Missouri, a bustling town on the up-and-coming home of the sporty Brown Stockings baseball team. They've got 5 different newspapers, a thriving harbor economy. They've got everything in St. Louis. Come on by. They don't have arches yet, or anything like that, but anything else they've got, including, as it turns out, potentially some kind of ghost problem. Being clued in by a local occultist contact, the gang went to the site of a murder that had occurred that very morning. although the reporting on it seems to have gotten to the occultist a little earlier than any other outlet. You were advised in the process of this to do things in a surreptitious and low-key manner, and above all, to avoid dealing with the sleazy reporter Reese Phillips at all cost. The posse proceeded to sneak into the house, falsify a crime scene to draw attention away, manhandle a dead body, and then have their bacon rescued by said sleazy reporter. They shared their notes with him. Well, some of them. They may or may not have been accurate. But they also learned from a young boy, the unfortunately named Curtis Deese, of the
Oh yeah.
of the Deese roasted and boiled nuts enterprise that supplies the Brown Stocking Stadium with their nut concessions.
Have you tried these nuts yet?
Oh, so you heard about my family. But according to Deese, who is a 13-year-old apprentice printer for the St. Louis Respondent, it seems that he believes the ghost of one Molly Crenshaw, who he has the details of a local ghost story on, that she was offended by his printing of said ghost story. And even though it was only a small batch of printings, she seems to be violently lashing out at those who come across one.
Why is it in this day and age we can't commit copyright infringement? Why we gotta choose violence?
Well, it's a ghost story. It's technically not copyright infringement if no one knows who wrote it originally. Heck, you don't even know if it's true. But regardless, you returned to the Green Lane Inn, your home base for your time in St. Louis, to recollect and figure things out, only for one of those missing printings to wind up in the mail of neighboring tenant Owen Welland, who you walked in on after the maid Miss Evelyn Mayo unfortunately walked in on him seemingly having hung himself. After investigating further and just asking Owen himself, you have come to the discovery that for some reason he seems to have been killed by himself, but not by himself. It was his own strength, but it was someone or something using it to choke the life out of him. And we finished up the session with the gang heading off to, honestly, I don't even remember where. And the discovery by the audience, the cast of characters don't know it yet, so don't spoil it for them. The discovery by the viewers that Mr. Phillips had in fact been following after them and may have overheard some of the things that they were discussing at the hotel. And that brings us back to where we are now. So, where are we going from here?
So, if I recall correctly, we were delaying going back to talk to the the Caribbean lady, because we wanted more info first. There was the graveyard, I think, was a place to go check out the body or something of the Crenshaw person. There was following up with D's nuts and
Oh, you're going to his parents?
Yeah, so I think those were like the various things, because it's talking to the kid to learn the fact of another one of these papers worked its way out, so we definitely need to find out who the other people who got them were, and B, if he was able to learn anything about how the paper reporting the murder of that girl's parents happened, like as it occurred. And then and the graveyard was to go look for ghost remains stuff. Is that an accurate summation?
I think it is.
Okay. Would people like to have any preferences? I think
The last thing I remember was someone having a possibly startling revelation about my character.
Oh.
I don't remember what that revelation was, and I didn't write it down, so...
Oh!
I believe it was Ezra? Remembering the character
I
right?
don't remember it either. Quick, whisper it in my ear.
Everyone in chat should rewatch previous episodes of the show.
Including us.
That reminds me, I need to upload more previous episodes of this show.
It had to do with the dead husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Someone asked something along the lines of, why do you know so much about their methods? And I said I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I think I was gonna ask more about that, but then the guy killed himself, so I prioritized that over this, and Ezra was being like, don't talk to people whose husbands have died, it's a sensitive topic.
Ezra did a equivalent of an insight check and believes that the reason that they are going so hard against this man is because their husband was mind controlled.
Okay.
Y'all be simping. You get a husband who ruins your life, they inevitably die.
Okay, if that's what you choose to believe.
Don't get husband.
You can take that one to the bank. So does anyone have any preferences about what to do next?
Where are you having this conversation, by the way? I need to know.
Well, currently it's out of character because none of us remember what happened last time.
Yeah, I'm not normally a rememberer, so I was just excited to.
You got the lore drops. Well, since I'm the only one who's going to assert something, I'm going to say we're going to go to the cemetery.
Sounds good to me.
So now so we can bring it up. Well, I certainly believe we've come across enough nefarious and suspicious activity for one morning, so I think perhaps we should begin looking into more esoteric solutions.
I mean...
In English?
Looking in a way that isn't normal.
Magic.
Maybe.
I'm fine doing it the Zenobia way.
I'm not, but I have a feeling I will be outvoted.
Well, I have
what's
a feeling
the
we
worst
might
that
need
could
a
happen?
bit of firepower. Mosey on back to my room and collect my guns.
Wonderful. Democracy in action. and she will sashay away.
Okay. Alright, so I take it then in the timeline this happened before you left the inn.
Yes.
Alright. Okay. Ooh. Do I want to let you roll for that? How paranoid are y'all?
I'm not especially paranoid unless it's about magic.
Normal amount? But are you saying like before or after you said that sentence?
Don't worry about it then. There's nothing going on.
Before it was a normal amount. No, now it's slightly above average.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered.
Because you spiked their paranoia.
I mean, I try. That's all I can really do at the end of the day is try.
B has like a list of like stress out the players dungeon master buzzwords that she has like taped to the wall behind her monitor or something.
I wish I was that organized. Alright. So, arriving at the... Let's see. Okay, so arriving at the St. Charles County Cemetery, you are greeted by, well, a cemetery. It's a little on the older side, so it's the kind of cemetery that starts off as very trimmed and tidy and organized with nice, neat little rows for the newer graves. But then as you look further and further back, you can see that the grounds are less and less maintained. There's trees and overbrush, and you can see faintly off to the distance that even into the forest surrounding Woodlands itself, there's still more grave markers. It's been here for a while. How would you like to try and approach this?
Well, this is an old grave, right?
Yes, according to the child, she had died several decades ago.
I mean... There has to be something... Ghost... He doesn't know how to word what he's feeling right now, which makes for poor role-playing.
Well, I think then that the best thing to do would be heading to the older graves. It should be at least fairly obvious, considering the children use it as a test of courage.
Yeah, it's probably marked in some way.
Definitely. Just... Ghosts? Really?
I'll tell you what, if you want more information you can potentially go off of, give me some general cognition rolls.
Cognition.
Okay, Spaghetti-O.
If you got anything for, I don't know, sight bonuses, you can apply
A
those.
4. Ezra.
+2. Also a 4.
Ezra with the 13.
Holy shit.
The big dick rolls.
I want to say something, but I'm not going to.
Is Mary gonna roll? Mary quite contrary.
Iris, that's you.
Sorry. My friend is asking me philosophical questions on the side, and I'm a sucker for philosophical questions.
Oh my god.
I have a philosophical question for you. Why won't you roll your die?
It's a good
Sorry, which
question.
die am I rolling?
Cognition.
Cognition.
Like, I can't even really be mad. I'm also ADHD super distracted when I do this.
So Mary got a 7 and Ezra got a 13.
All right. Well, welcome, Syraxis. I'm not going to be able to address chatters too often, but how you doing? Hope you have a good time. All right, so on a 4 and a 2, Zenobian Parrot don't really see very much. I mean, it's sometimes hard to see the graveyard for the grave. On a 7, I am going to give you that there is an undertaker who's operating relatively nearby, who may potentially know a thing or two about the graveyard organization. And for a 13, I will give you, there is a family, including some small children, that seem to be coming out of the cemetery post-visit.
The Epitome wants to go bug that family. Ezra
You
does
wanna
not.
go bother grieving children.
Well, we don't know they're grieving yet. We just know that they're there. You know what? I will roll a fortune die. Heads or tails?
Heads.
B, you want to list some reasons why you'd take children to a cemetery?
Okay, unfortunately I rolled...
Sacrifice?
Unfortunately, I rolled tails. The kids do seem emotionally invested and are rather dour. If it was heads, they were going to be the kind of kids where it's like, are we done?
Make them
I was
cry.
supposed to
Make
play
them
with my
cry.
hoop and stick like half an
Fucking
hour ago.
1870s.
I'm bored. Can we go? I don't even know Grandpa. He died of cholera when I was 2.
I'm late to kick rocks.
I'm going to point them out to Zenobia, though.
Oh, of course. The person who you definitely want.
Talking to grieving family.
Yes, but the small children might know more.
I appreciate the thought, little guinea pig, but I somehow think that us approaching a group of small children leaving a cemetery and asking them about...
I should be clear. There are adults there too. It's
I know,
not like,
well,
it's not
and
like a
asking them
group
about
of loose
dead bodies
children.
around their parents is probably a bit undue.
Morbid.
Potentially, but if this is a tall tale that children know, these are children.
There's also an employee that would see what the children do when they come here.
Oh, that's fair.
Yes, I feel like it would be best to direct our inquiry towards the local mortithurge. Well, if you wish to go, engaging in philosophical discourse with the youth, then you are, of course, welcome to do such.
Not what I was intending, but thank you.
Oh, I know there's a gift of the gab, as the Irish say, somewhere in there. As she pokes
Actually,
Ezra.
I forget, do I have that? I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh, you're a part of the crew of everybody who has gift of gab?
Yep.
Incredible.
Wonderful.
It just makes
I
things
once
easier.
played a deaf character who had gift of gab, and you just could learn the lip reading of any language.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
So, Zenobia will, dismiss the family. She doesn't understand why they would matter, and instead is gonna go head on over to the attendant.
Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so the attendant, the undertaker here, is a tall, lanky looking sort. They have the kind of demeanor that some people might find weirdly off-putting. Like they're just happily whistling. There you've got a sheet of measurements that they keep checking on and are hammering away at their latest casket.
Why, hello, good embalmer. As Zenobia will stride up.
Oh. And a hello to you, too. What can I do for you fine folks today? Are you in the market? Planning on betting the farm and buying it to boot?
No, despite the world's best efforts, I continue to be striding triumphantly across this fair earth, and most likely for a foreseeably significant duration.
Oh, well, more of the luck to you, friends.
Too many jerks, not enough bullets.
It seems an odd outlook, but who am I to judge?
Well, I would happen to say that I appreciate a man invested in his work and marketing towards those who are most, I guess, in the right market, as she gestures to the graveyard.
Oh, yes, you know, it's not always easy keeping up with the latest trends. I remember back in the day, you could simply make pine boxes and that would be enough for everyone to be happy. Nowadays, people are looking for tin and metal caskets, all stainless steeled. Goodness me, and that's to say nothing. Oh, goodness, that's to say nothing of what that dreadful exhibition of Lincoln's body, rest his soul and all that, did to people's idea of what a corpse should look like. These days you have to pump so many things into them, you wonder if they're still more human than chemical.
I'm sure that the composition is often a source of great disdain amongst the less educated members.
Truly, truly.
Well-
I beg your pardon, though I don't believe I have introduced myself yet. Hello, I am Peyton Burrows, Undertaker, Embalmer when necessary, and, well, they are still trying to find a new graveyard keeper after, well, he pats the box he's working on. Oh, Bertie, it will be hard to find someone to fill your shoes, especially with you still wearing them.
Oh, delightful! Mr. Burrows, quite a fitting name. Did you happen to affect it, or did somebody actually bestow that upon you as a surname?
Well, it's remarkable what a kind of names you can be given as a child that end up strangely prophetic. I once knew a man by the name of Clint Eastwood. He was a rough and tumble, nasty sort, and one time he got knocked over the head in a bar brawl something fierce, and he couldn't spell his name clear and straight anymore. He kept writing it as Old West Action. Of course, that would imply the Civil War, and I can't imagine that's what he was referring to, but nonetheless.
Yes, our names often do take us down strange and beguiling paths over the course of our lives. Speaking of which, my name is Zenobia EpitomeOAwkward. Pleasure.
Oh, pleasure's mine as well. He shakes the hand. It's very cold and clammy. And,
I can't feel that.
true. It's cold, it's clammy, and, like, you're not sure, but you think he might be using a foundation to make himself look even paler.
I love it.
Yeah, like, if this was offset by a century and some change, this man would probably be in, like, early modern goth culture.
Oh, love to see it. We love to see it. This gangly ass goth man.
If you need a reference for the face of it, look up Grant Anthony O'Brien.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
He's a real gangly looking Irish asshole.
She'll shake his hand and give him a death grip as she is wont to do. And say, well, we happen to be coming here, my associates and I, as we are a bit of enthusiasts about the local folklore here. We happen to know that there is great and terrible things in most jurisdictions that often find themselves twirling amidst the gyre of death. And so we have come here, of course, looking into your intrepid legend itself, the Miss Crenshaw, I believe.
Oh, yes, Miss Crenshaw. Oh, dreadful story the kids have come up with there. Are you quite familiar with it yourself, then, I assume?
I've only heard a bit of it in passing. Something about her being from the Caribbean, and that she was killed as a witch several decades ago.
Oh, yes. Let me see if I recall the way they tell it. Yes, as I recall it, I believe it was Jamaican by birth, and a practitioner of what do the Caribbean call it? Voodoo?
I believe it's voodoo.
Oh, yes, and voodoo to you as well, but...
Oh, bless you.
Of course. But, according to their story, terrible bit of mob justice that, and, despite the witch supposedly setting curse upon curse on crop and those who may try to assault her, they still ended up cutting her in half, and then again half once more, and half and so on for a few more times. But it's a superstition, I believe. I've only really heard it in the cases of things like ghosts. You're supposed to dismember a murderer's body before burial, so that way you can spread it across multiple plots, and you can therefore hopefully avoid the ghost being able to find its full self. I've heard everywhere from 2 graves to 24. Most of the time, the kids will just look for a grave of anyone with M, Molly, anything close to the name, and they'll say, oh, that's one, look right there, we found one of the graves of Miss Crenshaw herself.
One.
Then there's no record of where they would have actually been interred, or is this all just a story?
Well, if the timelines to be believed, I don't believe even my dear former associate Bertie would have been able to quite recall the specifics, but it wasn't so long ago that city record keeping wasn't, well, kept. So if you follow around the footpaths, especially near the older growth part of the graveyard, I'm sure that you'd be able to find the telltale trodden tracks of the local youth, but you may as well also find some luck in getting answers from the city records.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And I'm curious, as by the entourage that you entail, what happened to your fair Bertie?
Oh.
Is he coming or going?
Oh no, he died very recently. He did die at the very least doing what he loved, though. He was found with a belt wrapped around his neck and his manhood twixt his fingers.
Oh, one of those. How very French of him.
Yes.
Ezra is clearly disgusted.
You hear a soft
Yeah.
snickering from inside your bag. Oh, yes. At least he died with a smile on his face, only to be further exacerbated by rigor mortis.
Well, I feel like his stiffness was already a part of the problem.
Ah, yes, well, you have to use your vigor mortis to get stiff when you can before you get stuck with your rigor mortis, as I've always said.
I believe that's a family crest somewhere.
Oh, I really should try it. I have nothing but time and plenty of wood to work with.
And she'll kind of bat him, but it comes off as much more of a shove than she intends. She goes, "Please, I think the wood is a necessary increment to all of this. Really, it's 2 birds, 1 stone."
Of course, of course. Oh, splendid, splendid. Yes, I believe the grieving process will likely hit in a couple of days more, but for now... Oh, Bertie, this is how you would have wanted to be remembered.
Well, we appreciate you being so amicable in such a lively sort, considering the environs.
Oh, one has to be cheerful and sanguine when you're working in this environment. The alternative is to, well, perhaps simply perish.
Or stiffen up, as they say.
Yeah. Oh! A fellow connoisseur.
I just know a good joke when I hear one. No, they
Well.
haven't laughed this entire time.
Zenobia is having a great time. This is like being around her family.
Oh.
Well, if you happen to perhaps notice anything mysterious in the works, be sure to let us know. I know that my friends and I are very interested in the local folklore, and so we would love to be able to come up with quite the lengthy treatise about Miss Crenshaw if given the opportunity. We, of course, back it with facts, of course, but you know that facts are rarely as fun as what is perceived and what is fictionalized.
Of course, of course. Well, I can certainly look about here and there for some of the graves that the children identify as Molly's. I think I may have seen one of those not too long ago. I can't quite recall where, but it was. I'm gonna have to go back to that. I'm fairly certain it looked like they had littered some refuse around the grave that I'll have to tend to.
Oh, well, perhaps we'll be able to find it for you and report back about its current status.
Oh, less work for me then.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Burrows, and I'm sure if we need anything else, we could just dig you up somewhere.
Oh, yes, I do find myself often ankle, knees, waist deep in all sorts of holes.
Often buried in your work, I imagine.
Oh, but of course.
Well, does anyone else have anything they would like to say to Mr. Burrows before we go trekking in some less than and currently off-trodden paths?
Have you seen any other strange deaths before this began happening?
Strange death? Why, what do you mean?
Well, I'm just gonna recount the two deaths I know about so far, including the one that the person strangled themselves to death, and then mention, and I mean, if it weren't for your friend's proclivities, I might have lumped them into this.
Well, I can't say that I've paid much attention to it, but
I understand your job's burying them, not digging them up.
yes, I haven't particularly examined them before, save to correct perceived flaws. Curse that embalmed train. If Lincoln weren't dead, why, I'd have a few words for him myself. Regardless, though, I don't work particularly much with the means of working with the bodies, but I suppose I have on occasion been party to the work of the coroner at the hospital. They've occasionally confided in me here and there.
Well, I think you might have just gave me my next lead.
Oh, well, I'm delighted to encourage someone to keep digging. If you do end up speaking to the coroner, tell dear Mr. Lewis Pitt that I send my regards.
Will do. Tips hat.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Shall we
All
go
right.
trudging along looking for Crenshaw graves and graves with potentially refuse around them?
I think so.
Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Could I see some search rolls?
Bloop. At least we're consistent, Ezra.
Nope, sorry.
Oh, fucking Ezra's nailing it tonight.
Man,
Oh,
he
Jesus
is
Christ.
on.
Everyone else getting 5s or 6s.
Oh,
Ezra with
I
the
rolled the
11.
wrong thing. I rolled cognition, not
Oh.
search.
Roll your search then. I
Eh,
take it
7.
all back. A 7.
All
I was gonna
right.
say, isn't search a cognition roll?
It is of a sort, yes. All right. So, I'm going to say that 5s and 7s in the immediate vicinity, the well-tended, nice and neat graves, you're not going to be able to find any Crenshaws or Mollys. A couple that have like an abbreviated M for a first name, but none with the matching last name. And you're probably going to be looking at... You're probably going to be looking around the edge of the well-tended to, or even mildly tended to part of the graveyard, and with a 5 to 7, you're able to find the signs of kid tracks. That is to say, I'm gonna say, it's hard to not describe it as a game trail, but for children.
We're hunting the
Game
most
trail
dangerous
for
prey of
children.
all. Children.
I mean, have you seen what they did to my ankle? Ankle bars joke? Anyone? Okay.
No, I got it. I'm also being ADHD right now.
All right. So I'm going to say that this transitions to tracking rolls now.
Oh no, we really are tracking children.
I mean,
All right.
you're following foot tracks. That's about as on brand for tracking as I can get.
Let's track these children.
Track the children.
I got a 2.
I have no tracking.
I'm trying to find tracking on
It's
here.
under cognition.
Cognition?
Yeah. Tyrus with the 7.
When we're ready to kill things, me and Obsidian will step up.
Yep. That's when we start doing the heavy lifting.
All
We
right.
start blasting.
So, it takes a little bit at first to find a really solid trail to go off of, but you do eventually manage to find a reliable looking trail to be following here. Yeah, since this is a pretty peopled trail here, 7 should be just about good to find and follow. So you're going through, and you see at a small clearing here, there is a not exactly a gravestone, but a grave marker. It is a crude wooden stick slashed together cross. It looks like at one point there was something more elaborate, because you can see a largely worn away name plaque here, and on it you can just make out the last name Crenshaw. The woods here are eerily quiet. There's no children actively around. There's not even really any natural occurring noises. The wind grows a little still here. There's no birds to be heard. It's just you, this grave-marked Crenshaw, and there is a dusty, dirty bit of paper, partially
is it?
crumpled up, held down onto the grave with a rock.
I want to see the paper.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious. Let's
No,
go.
we're putting it back. We're leaving.
Nope, this is our world now.
Oh my god.
Ooh, a piece of paper!
Let's see, do I have a good soundtrack setting for this? Let's see.
Let's hear your creepy piece of paper music.
We need your most unsettling paper crinkle.
No, that doesn't quite do it. There's too much ambiance. No ambiance allowed. What about this one? No, that's too...
Damn noise canceling headset.
I'll just leave it silent, in and out of character for now. Alright then, Zenobia, I am... Gosh. I've been thinking about this so long, and now that the moment's finally come, I'm not sure how best to do the dang thing.
Oh.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. You know what? Can you give me a... I forgot. Yes. Can you give me a spirit check?
Spirit check a 9.
Alright.
I'm a spirited lass.
Let me see you grit them teeth.
Alright. I have rolled my result. Would you like to stick with a 9?
I will say yes.
Okay. You pick up the paper and you can feel for a brief second, you feel like you are absolutely breathless. Not like something is choking you, but like you have the distinct sensation, tactilely as well, even through your deadened nerve endings, you can still feel a squeezing pressure on your body, like that of water squeezing, crushing down on a body as it drifts further and further beneath. You can feel it. You can almost feel the nature of the liquid. It's sort of viscous. It feels like it sticks to the skin as you have the sensation wash over you. And just as the pressure starts making you struggle to draw new, full breath, it's gone. And the world around you seems to burst back into noise and feeling and sound, and you're stood there in the woods holding a piece of paper.
Zenobia gets real wide-eyed as she looks around for a moment at everything. And then she will look at the paper, and seemingly nothing else is about to happen after that little episode.
All right, so examining the paper, you see about what was described to you. This is the tale of Molly Crenshaw. It describes in sentences riddled with poor grammar and what looked to be, since obviously this is printed, you can't exactly cross it out. It looks to be that at some points the printer went back and tried to print a new letter over the existing letter to fix a word. But it describes the story more or less as you heard it. This is Molly Crenshaw, the ghost of a freed Jamaican slave who was also an evil witch and met her end at the hand of a mob that tore her bodies to bits. But the bits are still moving year by year. They inch closer and closer together until someday they reform. You'd probably give it like a solid C, maybe D+ for overall creative writing. The body parts pulling back together seems at least kind of novel. Maybe that's worth bumping it up to a C or C+.
Pretty good for a half illiterate child.
Which is really bad considering that he's an apprentice to a printer.
The economy's in shambles.
What you notice at the bottom there is a tale retold by Curtis Deese, and then in a smaller print font, as assisted by senior editors J. Yoakum and B. Douglas. That's abbreviated.
Yeah.
J and B. Just...
I got that because it's Bennett Douglas and Judd Yoakum.
Mm-hmm. But yes, you have secured this copy of the ghost story.
Zenobia is gonna turn and she's gonna do one of those real slow turns of her head to look at Parrot. And you see she's got these big doe eyes going on, and her mouth is twisted in a rictus smile.
Oh god.
What?
She'll rush on over and show Parrot the paper, and she kind of grabs her and goes, I knew it! I was right! It tried to kill me. It was really an experience.
Draw's
Right
gun.
about
What?
what? You say a lot of things.
This does have to do with ghosts or at least some kind of magic. As I picked up the paper, I felt a suffocation as if I was drowning under some viscous liquid. It was truly arcane in its implications.
It sounds fucking gross.
Well, yes, it was a less than pleasant adventure. However, the substance behind it is really the invigorating aspect.
He reaches out to hold it, kind of incredulous.
But before she holds it, she'll look at him and do a really condescending smirk and be like, are you prepared for anything that may occur?
It's a piece of paper.
Well,
What harm could it do?
let's hope it stays that way then. And she'll hand it to him.
All right. Give me a spirit roll, please, Ezra.
Okay.
This is the greatest end to Ezra. Choked out on a piece of paper in a cemetery.
Joke on it. Joke on it.
Really eating those words, I guess.
Yep.
He got an 8.
I got an 8.
All right. Would you like to stay at an 8?
Yes.
Okay. You feel for a brief moment a little chill run down your spine. And that's it. You don't really notice anything else.
No. He thinks it's just the wind. It's just paper, Zenobia.
Well, then, I guess it varies from person to person, but I can assure you that I am quite right that there is mysterious circumstances under here, and at this point we should probably find the other 3 copies that our dear nuts happen to distribute.
Okay. Where are you off to?
Was anybody else gonna say or do anything?
Oh, sure as heck not touching that paper now.
What are y'all doing with the paper, by the way?
I personally would recommend that you hold on to that, Ezra, and not give it to anyone else, lest they incur the potential consequences of a less than positive experience.
Whatever. He folds it up and puts it in his breast pocket.
Okay.
Now, the real question is if this is tied to the grave site or the spirit, or perhaps something else riding, I believe, is the colloquial way of putting it, piggyback off of the whole superstition. There's clearly an arcane element of it. It's the true mystery to unravel is the nature of what that is entailing.
You know, whatever the fuck's going on, it's obvious that whoever has the other copies is in danger.
Correct, which means we would have to learn from Curtis who he handed them off to. He said he printed 12 copies, he gave out 6, one of which was to Caroline, one of which wound up in our dear hanged man, and one of which is right here. Additionally, it would be helpful to find out how any further details about Miss Crenshaw's death. My personal experience was something like a drowning suffocation, which would perhaps entail that maybe she wasn't quite dismembered. Perhaps they put her in some other kind of viscous liquid. I don't know if there's a peat bog or, oil or some other kind of thick substance in which she could be currently entombed, and the grave is simply symbolic, or at least a gesture in the right direction.
I mean, it could also have been, pardon the wording, but her own blood filling up her lungs.
Oh, that's creative. I like where your head's at, Parrot.
I mean, when somebody dies and the word viscous comes up, I assume blood.
Yeah.
That would
I don't
further
know.
at least indicate that perhaps it wasn't simply the tearing apart that killed her, as I doubt, given the quartering and quartering of quartering that she received, that she necessarily were experiencing the choking on her own blood in that capacity. It would have to happen if she was perhaps biting through her tongue and other issues like that, but I don't know, that seems a little droll, but I like what the core of that is.
Let's go hunt down these other copies.
All right. So, where is your next port of call?
We only had like a couple names from the kid, right?
We have for the copies he gave away, I don't think he like knew anybody specific aside from Caroline. So I think it would be, I guess, descriptions of the other people to the best of his ability.
We could also talk to the editors that helped him with
The
it.
other kids. They're
Well,
the other two printer boys, was his
Yeah.
editors. I don't think he'd seen them recently.
That is accurate.
Sus. I think he was going to ask about them when he was going to work. So we got two things. We could potentially split the party and have one group go to City Hall to learn more about Crenshaw, while the other half goes to our dear Mr. Curtis Nuts, Curtis D's. Or we could just squat up. It's just terribly inefficient.
What time of day is it?
Okay, well, let's see. We started off in the morning. I think by now we're probably at late afternoon, early evening, a little past midday.
Yeah, I don't see us being able to talk to Curtis like while he's at work.
Yeah, it would be having to, I guess, go to his house or something. So probably then go to the county recorder first, because that's also, that can only be done 9 to 5, or
Yeah,
whatever
we try to
biblical
find
hours they use.
anything on the death,
Hours.
and then we go bother a child again.
Oh, Ezra sure enjoys bothering children, wanting to get us to go harass any grieving child that passes our way.
Well, excuse me. I was trying to be helpful.
Oh, it's appreciated. I just so enjoy my little guinea pig turning in his wheel. She'll wink.
He's rolling his eyes and muttering ghosts.
To the county recorders.
Okay. All right. So, heading off back into town, you find yourself at the City Hall. It's this big building of brick and mortar, and you can see it's got a lovely little clock tower that shows you it is currently 3 p.m. And it's the center of government for a city that has a lot of people coming in and out, what with rail lines and, more significantly, river travel. So yeah, there's all kinds of people coming in and go. You're welcome to be one of them.
We will do it. We'll go in into the throngs.
Alrighty then. Alright, so going in, there is a awful lot of hustle and bustle going hither, thither, and you better believe yawn. And you eventually manage to find sort of a general, not admission, that's the word I'm trying to think of. A general purpose directory desk. There is a mousy looking woman there who is currently back turned to you, working at filing away something in one of a wall's worth of these huge sliding file cabinets.
Good afternoon, miss.
She starts, and the file goes everywhere. Oh dear. All right.
Is she behind a desk?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, otherwise I would help her, but...
Oh goodness. All right. Yes. Hello. Welcome to the city hall. That's the birth. Why did it had to be the birth record? So this is gonna take me all day. How can I help you, ma'am?
It's a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. We are currently looking into some of the local folklore, and we would love to see any of your records about Miss Molly Crenshaw.
Oh, goodness. I think at hearing the name Molly Crenshaw, you see she has like a very heavy sigh. Like, oh, it's one of these people again. It's always about this. Oh, so you look a little old to be some manner of rank-pulling little hellion, miss, but I'm afraid I am no longer assisting with such endeavors.
Oh, and why is that?
I have had quite enough of these prank calls and calling upons. I have been dealing with this silly little ghost story for far too long, and it's taken up far too much of my time.
Miss, I assure you that I am dead serious in my inquiries. I am a interested person in such things, and I do not intend to waste your time. Much like I assume that you are not in a particular inclination to waste anyone else's.
Yeah. Give me a... This is definitely a social role of some sort. Let's... No, I mean, look, if you want to try and pass the buck off to someone else, you're welcome to.
I don't have any charisma skills. All I have is tale-telling.
Does anyone have any Mian skills?
Give me a second. Sorry.
I'm fine. I can do it.
No.
I can bluff. I have 1 point of bluff.
I have persuasion and 3d10 and Mian.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Come on, Perota.
Should I say something first?
Sure.
I'm not sure how to apply a purdy and soothing voice on this.
Is she a lesbian? Let's go.
You know, I will roll a chance die. I have a result now. I will not be telling you the result without without some sort of scrutinizing action.
Does she look gay?
I don't know.
Parrot steps up and like puts a hand on the counter. We're investigating some stuff concerning the children that have been messing with the grave. It would really help things along if we could get any information on this. And this should be public knowledge. And we're ready to get out of your hair as soon as possible, but it's wasting all our time if we can't find these records.
Goddamn! 16!
That's a really good roll.
I'm flexing, but you can't see.
I can hear. I can hear.
Parrot's like, I don't talk to anybody except this one moment, and I'm gonna fucking nail it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that with a 16, she sort of takes a moment to think here. Well, there was at least one recorded account. I've had to look this up so many times now that I have this blasted information memorized. There is one account of a Mr. Davis Crenshaw that lived here approximately 30 years ago. He passed away well before then. But to the best of city records, there's never been a Molly Crenshaw that has died in St. Louis. And I'm going to say, with a 16, I'll let that success ride a little bit here. She seems hesitant. She's being honest. Like, you feel like you've drawn out an honest response with her with how good your plea was. But it feels also like she's a little reticent to share something here.
Well, thank you for cooperating. Is there an address?
I'm sorry?
Where he lived.
Oh, where he lived. I believe we may have something here, and she turns and starts looking through the files. She's also still like she has to very carefully tiptoe around these scattered birth reports that are just slipshod, strewn throughout the office now.
Miss, if there's never been a Molly Crenshaw who died in this town, this suspicion, this legend, originated somewhere. Was there perhaps somebody under a different name who suffered a gruesome fate and has since been attached to this Molly Crenshaw name?
Well, there's of course many people who have had unfortunate ends in this neck of the woods. in as much as our country's history is concerned. But, to the best of my knowledge, no. There was, legally speaking, I suppose there was, very briefly, a Molly Crenshaw who was reported as dead, but that was a misreporting.
Legally
I'm afraid.
speaking, are you... Did Mr. Davis Crenshaw happen to be recently married or some such?
Oh, no, nothing of the sorts. Relatives, perhaps. Crenshaw's relatives may have moved out here recently, but no, I say that only because there was an error briefly with one of my colleagues that a record of birth was mistakenly filed instead as a notice of death. There was a Molly Crenshaw who was born just, oh, goodness, let me see. Would have been, I believe it would have been in 69 that she was born. But she is still very much alive and also quite young. But of course, it's quite difficult to get information that has been sent to the printers of some such paper to be redacted or corrected. And of course, people are more than happy to ascribe more sinister implications of those changes of reporting than there need be.
Then if you excuse me, miss, from my understanding about it, this legend has gone back more than the last 10 years.
Well, it's gone back to 69, I presume, when
I
the
thought it was
mistake
76
made.
right now.
Yes, it is.
So that would only be like 7 years.
Yeah, it's a very recent ghost story.
Okay.
You know how it is, though. People like a story. There's nothing particularly interesting to morbid sensitivities about just some child passing away. So, I don't know, perhaps it was embellished here and there by those spreading it about.
Miss Crenshaw is still alive and at an adolescent age. I imagine these amateur ghost hunters have at least somehow run across her family more than once. Seems like that would be a bit of a bother to the Crenshaw family.
I would not be surprised in the least. Though I imagine they're likely rather private for exactly such a reason.
How was this done in error? I admit I am not much of an administrator in my own being. I happen to be elusive to the more decibel system arts, but I would assume that it would at least be drastically different paperwork.
Well, it certainly would be, but ultimately it's simply a matter of filing. Reports come in from the hospital of various personal identifiers of those who have passed away and those who are newly born, as they come daily, in fact, even. It's an easy enough matter to correct them within our own offices, because they are, in fact, rather different in terms of the formatting. However, when one sends to the papers the obituaries of the day, then it's not as easy to take back what's put in print.
Does your colleague still work here?
No. Unrelated, however. Gordon was embezzling quite heavily from the government. Goes back to picking up files off the floor. Now then, was there anything else that you needed for your investigations?
Anybody else have anything that they want to ask or say?
So we found the grave site with the paper, and it had her name on it, right?
Well, the gravesite, yeah, the gravesite had the cross and stuff. With
And
the
they're
name.
saying they can't look up anyone by that name.
They said that nobody's died with that name, except for a brief thing for a girl who was born about 7-8 years ago, and it was listed as a death instead of a birth.
Wondering if the grave is mislabeled.
Yeah.
And if it's mislabeled, maybe that's why they can't rest.
Maybe. As a more formal resident of this fair city, and aware of this legend, obviously, there seems to be quite a gathering of children to the alleged grave of Miss Crenshaw in the graveyard. Do you happen to know, perhaps, whose actual remains are being compromised and vandalized by these youths? It could perhaps be helpful to dispel such rumors, and I assume the family definitely doesn't care for it.
It wasn't like a headstone or anything, though. It was
I know.
Doesn't make it a grave.
Yeah, but
At all.
I'll at least see it if she knows shit about it and is willing to opine about it.
I suppose it could be of the late Mr. Crenshaw, perhaps. Or, well, other than having to deal with that one particular correction, I'm admittedly not particularly keen to reopen the files of the Crenshaw families. But yes, I do believe that's the neatest conclusion I can come to, at least.
Anybody else have anything?
Alright. Continues picking up papers.
It sounds like that's all we got. So,
Goodness, there's so many papers.
I apologize for startling you. If you would like, I could help you pick them up, but...
Oh, well, I could ask that, but that would be rather unprofessional of me.
Oh, please, you've been awfully forthcoming with us, and I'd hate to dispel our menage a trust that we have created. And she will go over and help pick up papers.
Alrighty. I'm not gonna ask for any
Yeah,
rolls for
I don't know what they would be. I'm
Yeah.
helping pick up paper.
You're just helping with paper. Alright. Okay, so
You did it.
yep. Alright, so what are y'all up to now?
Well, let's leave. And move away from City Hall. Well, I believe that was at least moderately elucidating.
I wish I could say something.
Yeah. Well, so we now know at least that, assuming that there's not a cover-up happening at the very heart of governance, that this is perhaps tied to some other spirit or being that has been rather roped into the superstition. There is, of course, a innate power to such things, but my assumption is that perhaps it is a different sort of vindictive geist rather than a simple manifestation of the rather, admit it, young legend in its own right, manifesting in nefarious ways. I would assume it has some tie to that grave, of course, which I think we have correctly deduced is mislabeled, at the minimum, assuming there is not further dark and deviant reasons why Miss Molly Crenshaw's birth and subsequent potential death have been misconstrued to us.
Right?
Anyone else?
Any
Any live reactions?
I
know why
feel
Ezra isn't
I
talking.
feel so bad. I feel so bad that I can't. Tyrus, Ham, either of you?
I don't know. We've been given so much little bits of information that do not match up.
Well, did we look up what record of who's supposed to be buried in the grave that we did find?
I don't think that's like I don't think they record who's like. I don't think the city hall tells you which grave has which person. I think that's more of like
they're not that detailed. Okay.
Yeah, I would assume not. Like it's the 1870s. The the fucking Undertaker, it indicated that the grave was, kind of it's a grave. He's not sure if it's Molly's grave. We could definitely talk to him about Davis Crenshaw and if he knows anything about that. Which would be the alternative, just digging open that grave, doing this fucking supernatural style, salting and burning the body.
I'm Bob Necromancer, and today we're doing an unboxing.
Oh no.
So we could talk to the Undertaker, and then we can always go report back to Miss Swan, kind of give a debrief, since now I know for a fact that there is magic afoot. And maybe having something to do with the killing. So those are the two options I really see right now, is going to talk to the Undertaker, or going to Our Lady. Any preferences?
I think the Undertaker is a good start.
Okay. So go back to the boneyard and see Mr. Burroughs.
All right. You have returned to the realm of big ol' lanky piece of shit, Peyton Burrows.
Mr. Burrows!
Oh, goodness, well, I don't usually see people so repeated so frequently.
Well, I would imagine you'd like to keep it that way.
Oh,
That's
yes,
the-
I've never
the
had...
implication.
You telling me you never had any repeat clients?
I haven't! Goodness, that would be the end of me. What a fright that must be.
Well, as we have been further investigating this, we have discovered a discrepancy.
Discrepancy, do go on.
Yes, we're just talking to the county recorder's office about, of course, none other than Miss Molly Crenshaw, and learned that her death was apparently a bit premature. I'd hate to inform you that you're getting ahead of the game here.
Oh? And how do you suppose that?
The clerk we had spoken to indicated that it was a misreporting about Miss Crenshaw's death, that it was filed on the same day as her birth, and that she is very much alive as a 7-year-old girl somewhere in the city.
Well, that is quite contrary to the story as told, yes.
Indeed, which begs the question if, from what I had learned, this seems to be a rather long-standing legend rather than something simply only after the last 7 or so years.
Well, I suppose long-standing is a matter of perspective when many of the people telling said story are younger than the story itself.
I guess time is truly relative to us all. The mayfly may find it a bit more compelling than perhaps the tortoise.
No,
But-
yes.
But I digress. So we then begs the question, if Miss Crenshaw is still alive, what is that grave that has her name on it?
Well,
Seemed to be larger than a child's, at least.
well, it may simply be a different Crenshaw, I suppose.
Do you know anything about a Davis Crenshaw?
Davis Crenshaw. Well,
Died, supposedly died about 30 years ago.
well, that was a little before my time. Old Bertie might have known something, but I can't say that I've heard him in our past dalliances mention anything of the sort.
Understandable. Speaking of which, how long ago did Mr. Bertie depart his mortal coil in his final emission?
Oh, well, let's see. I suppose it... Oh, in the grand scheme of things, it really wasn't that long ago. I suppose it couldn't have been longer than a month ago.
Oh, they're truly taking their time with the with the process then. Gestures to the body.
Goodness, there's a body? Where?
I thought Bertie was like next to him in the box.
Well, yes, we had always discussed that he would rather a more personalized coffin than can perhaps be tended to in the immediate sense. So, strictly speaking, he has been buried. I am simply going to rebury him.
Reberry?
Yes.
Once he's put into a better coffin, I assume.
Yes, of course. I'm planning on digging up my old associate and acquaintance, Bertie, and as per the wishes in his will, I'm going to put him in a different box of more careful design. It takes a little while to make the really truly artful coffins, you know, and going to reinter him.
I see. Understandable. Then I have just one really further question about this. Has, to your awareness, of course, has anyone been to see the alleged Crenshaw grave recently? When we went there, we found what appeared to be a piece of paper on it that had been under a rock.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if kids are planting things around here and there.
No, of course, they're miscreants at the best of times and gremlins at the worst, but I was just curious if you'd seen anybody go there as of late, any rambunctious youths.
Oh, I haven't actively noted them, but the little rapscallions do have a way of sneaking in unannounced or uninvited, really.
Where there is a will, there is certainly a way.
Quite.
Does anybody else have anything they want to ask him?
He seems to know. Fuck all.
Yep.
I think we'd be better off hiding at the grave and waiting for kids.
I mean, you're welcome to, I suppose. You squints, you don't seem much like resurrectionists.
No. I put things down, I don't pick them up.
That must make life very difficult, not being able to pick things up that you drop.
They're a straw enthusiast.
I'm leaving.
Well, it's a pleasure speaking to you again, Burrows. Hopefully, the next time I see you, we continue to both be as lively conversationalists as this. I would hate to dampen the mood.
I dread the day, deceased or otherwise, that I am a boring old stiff.
I think that, at least in that situation, you will only ever be half right.
Oh, I do hope it's my good half.
It just depends on what the other person says. And with that, Zenobia will do a bit of a curtsy, and I guess we'll depart.
All right, where are you headed?
So, I think it's kind of a long call to just stake out the cemetery.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel we just didn't ask the right question somewhere.
I don't know. I just work here. I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
And so, I think probably at this point, I think we can report back to Miss Swan and give our info. Maybe she can shed some light on any of it. And then I think the only thing to follow up would be about any of the other Crenshaws and our kid again. So that's what I got.
All right.
To Miss Swan.
Alrighty then. Heading back into town, you find yourself again at the grand and gothic Swan Estate. You are brought in by the valet of the household, Cortez, and before too long, she is able to slowly come down to greet you. It still seems to be a rather taxing activity for her. That is to say, activity in general. Right. I am terribly sorry about my state of things as you come back to visit me. But I do hope that you've been able to find some interesting bits of information.
Yes, we have been quite the busy bees, as they say, and we have gone from murder site to suicide site to grave site. It's been quite a sight.
Oh?
I will explain all the various things we did. Going to the murder site, finding out about how the deaths occurred, the talk with the kid and the printed papers that he gave one to the daughter before the killing happened. He handed out 5 more. We found 2 more, one of which was on a guy who allegedly, killed himself using his own strength um, shortly before we found him, and then us going to the gravesite of Molly Crenshaw and finding the paper and me talking about the very obvious, magical and or spiritual attack that occurred when I picked it up. Us finding out about the county recorder thing, about Molly, and that there was a Davis Crenshaw, and he's dead, and that we suspect the papers are in fact tied to the killings in some way, in a magical means we're not totally clear about yet. And if she has any information about that, as well as any information about Davis Crenshaw, it'd be greatly appreciated.
I haven't heard much of this Davis Crenshaw before. I'm not sure how it may relate to your ongoing investigations directly, but I will certainly try to have my sources look into it a little more. I'm drawn to one question in particular, though. Did you say you met Reese Phillips?
Yes, dreadful man.
He had a bad vibe about him.
He was useful in a pinch, but we kept our answers equivocating.
I see. And you didn't ask any favors, get yourself indebted, nothing like that. Yeah?
Well, I guess it's all quite relative. We did our quid pro quo. He provided his somewhat of an alibi for us investigating the murder site. In exchange, we exchanged information about what we knew. Don't worry, I indicated nothing about you. Simple, evasive facts about the killings themselves.
That's for the best. I reckon. He is a very difficult sort. Not your garden variety muckraker. I have admittedly found in the past reasons to use his services, but it's very important not to leave any ambiguousness when it comes to if the deal is done, or no. He has a way of really getting into one's business that I cannot say I appreciate, but that I cannot deny has been useful in past occasions. Would still never go to meet him myself in person, though. Far too risky.
You speak about him as if he was some sort of fey entity with the way that he takes contracts and debts. Is there more to Mr. Phillips than simply a reporting man?
Faye? No, not Faye. I am not sure what exactly Mr. Phillips is, other than certainly trouble, but he has responded to freelance investigation work of a rather unorthodox sort in the past, and has often been paid in as unorthodox a way.
How very enlightening. It certainly is helpful if he happens to cross our paths again, as we are no doubt interesting entities in our own right. I suspect he will no doubt be seeking us out before we depart.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was already working on some new story. Well, I would not speak to the man without protection, but it seems you have already taken that step, so the most I can offer you is a little touch of this, and she takes a small glass vial, inside of which is thick, coagulated blood. Very, very dark red, but not quite so dried as to have turned brown.
Zenobia perks up in delight. Ooh, what is the nature of this tincture?
It's not something to be drinking. Unless, of course, you would be risking your health. I would advise against it. I certainly would not be taking it as any sort of ingested prophylactic, but its presence may help keep the more intrusive nature of Mr. Phillips at some level of bay.
Oh, how illuminating. Thank you, Miss Swan, as Zenobia kind of holds it very greedily as she, puts it away.
Yeah, I'm not gonna... I'm not even gonna bother making you roll for it. You're a blood mage. Of course you know how to recognize this is some weird blood.
Yeah.
Ezra is disgusted.
Well,
Sorry.
it is much appreciated, Miss
That's
Swan.
all right.
I think at this point we need to find what happened to the other 3 papers, as they do seem to have a direct connection to whatever supernatural entity is carrying out these murder-suicides.
Yes. I can't say I know for sure where they might be, but I would have to imagine the youths may know something of other youths.
Indeed. And just as a subject of curiosity, since you have resided here for significantly longer than we have, uh, and based on your own island heritage and the story of Miss Crenshaw, it does seem like this story is fairly recent and doesn't have anything actually to do with Molly Crenshaw.
Well, people like to ascribe all manner of fearsome things to things they aren't familiar with. And it just so happens that many, many people are not familiar with the Caribbean and its history.
We are all victims of imperialism in our own ways.
Quite.
Which reminds me, actually, is now that I think about it closer, is there any kind of Caribbean sorcery that could have these kind of effects? From what I gathered, Mr. Scroll back to Mr. Owen Welland was strangled by what was essentially his own strength, while myself, when I experienced my ill scenario, was as if I was suffocating, drowning under something very viscous, which perhaps could be blood, which would be thematically appropriate. I'm wondering if there's perhaps some kind of connection there.
Well, I have something of a theory. I've noticed in my investigations that it doesn't really matter nearly as much what the truth of a matter is, so much as what people think it is. I've heard tale of wolfmen and the sorts being conflated with the creatures that turn into jaguars down in Mexico. And they have different purposes, different natures, but it seems less and less like there's any accounts or records of people encountering such creatures in good temper. Likewise, there is an old British folk magic. These nasty little things, puppets, where witches and warlocks and what have you were said to be able to control the movements of a person's being with a little doll of them. But that is so often conflated with voodoo that it has become a synonymous idea. The voodoo doll instead of the British puppet. I am working on a research theory suggesting that this sort of transitive property of perception can be used by some things to make the misperceptions into its own entity, its own force of being.
You trying to tell me that the kids willed it into existence?
Perhaps not willed, but feared. Feared, maybe. It's still just a theory. This is something I have much, much more research to do on. But it is a theory I haven't seen refuted by my personal investigation.
It does make a sort of logical sense where if you've already working under the assumption that magic and the arcane are extensions of will upon the greater physicality of reality, then what is to say that that will cannot be applied in different and more esoteric ways? There is a collective energy exuded by people, even if they are unaware of it. Some of us know how to utilize it appropriately, but most go about their little lives under blissful ignorance. She looks at Ezra. Up until it is abruptly shattered for them. So I could see it as a way of basically popular arcana.
Belief is often more important than knowledge in matters of making things happen. Making things you want to happen is an entire different story. But my fear is that if in the story is ascribing this power to a ghost, what if it's not just as simple as the ghost? What if it's something else that's co-opting that story for its own?
I see. So some kind of entity or a monster that has found that there is a certain level of power in utilizing this legend for its own aims and gathering more power around the idea that it exists, which perhaps would entail that there are more boogeymen in this fair city than simply the suspicions of the story itself. Perhaps that this legend has been attached to something that was simply waiting for the opportunity to manifest, the base level of trauma in which these things take as garb and visage to express themselves into the world.
I have no solid proof of the theory. At this point, it is still just that. But if you find any further information that may be relevant, I am more than happy to look into it.
Excellent, of course. I would love to discuss this further with you, but I imagine my companion's eyes are glazing over in such minutiae.
I have nothing to say. He's still kind of. He's a little miffed at that comment, but he's not going to say anything because he knows better. But he's sure as hell thinking it.
Just over here, like, been there, done that.
All right, so there are a couple of different approaches we could take next. I do recall you had mentioned that you could give us access to Caroline to perhaps gain some more insights into the family's killings. That would be the exception to the rule, and albeit without knowing the specifics of it. If they were given this paper, Caroline had it, and they proceeded to have a murder-suicide, then it behaved in a different way than it did to either Mr. Welland or myself. Which means they could either be coincidence and an other actor, or perhaps there's something we do not quite see that perhaps we could be enlightened about.
Yes, I have arranged with some of my acquaintances within the city's government structure to enable you to speak with Caroline. I have arranged for this letter of admission that should hopefully grease the wheels. And she hands you a folded up, very crisp looking document.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Swan.
If anyone asks, you are, in fact, the attorneys that a concerned anonymous party has acquired for the potential need of legal defense for Miss Caroline.
It's gonna look over at Parrot and go, "You always had the look of a barrister to me."
Yeah, we'll fit right in.
Well, much appreciated. We'll be sure to see what we can learn from her and hopefully be able to follow up with her friend Curtis and track down the whereabouts of these remaining documents and hopefully find some more information about how we can put down this myth-given life.
Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck. And here's hoping this mystery don't stay a mystery for too much longer, if it can be avoided.
Indeed, I'm sure the only one who would take any advantage from that situation would be Mr. Burroughs in the graveyard. Anybody have anything else for Miss Swan?
I'm good for now, thank you.
It's all right. My investigator brain doesn't seem to be working very well today.
Perota.
Nah.
You know,
Okay.
I got it from a used market. You know.
Secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
The gang gets a law degree. Let's go. Mostly specialize in bird law, but I think with that, we've probably exhausted things we can investigate today. Do you guys want to head back and snoozle?
Yeah, let's make it tomorrow.
Okay.
Or
Sounds good to
see
me.
if we can find the kid since he would be off work.
That sounds like something to follow up.
Just pop our heads in. Do you remember? Do you remember who has the papers? Okay, bye.
Does anybody have like Streetwise?
Streetwise, that's funny.
I don't remember shit about my character ever.
Thank you for the hydrate and posture check.
because nobody has Streetwise, we're gonna have probably a hard time finding him.
I have a single point in Streetwise.
That's better than all of us combined.
Correct.
And
So do you
not
wish?
bad smarts.
Yeah.
Wait,
do you-
actually, let me triple check just to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. Oh, never mind. I can help with this.
Oh,
Forgot that Ezra has some.
Smarter than the average cabbage.
I'm just gonna hit the button. Oh God.
Botched. We love to see it, Parrot.
Ooh, okay.
Ezra got a 6.
It's been a while since I've botched. I normally
You were
just
on such a
roll
roll.
low.
Oh, goodness gracious. So what exactly are you asking around about in terms of what this botch means?
I don't know.
Fair.
Obsidian said Streetwise. I didn't think too hard about it.
We're looking where to find Curtis D's. When he-
I guess like heading to the office and like hoping to see him leaving from a botch. I
Alright.
show up and I look for kids around his age and go, hey, hey, where's Curtis?
Ah!
Hey, you kid! Where's Curtis? Where's the nuts?
Hey, you kid, stop all the downloading.
No
You
no
wouldn't
one
download
has
a pizza.
no one has any idea what you're talking about. I don't have any nuts. I'm sorry.
How about my 6?
You're a 6? Oh, your roll of 6. I thought that
yeah.
was in character. I was
No,
trying to
on
figure
his
out.
6.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
right
figure out,
behind
like,
him.
okay, what would that result?
Hey,
I-
he's at least a St. Louis 7.
He probably go. If we know that he's a part of the These Nuts, not corporation, but family business. So I'd probably look for the family business.
Oh, so you're finally going to check out the Brown Stockings professional baseball team.
Damn, she's been
Oh, no.
talking about this the whole time.
It all leads back to the Brown Stockings.
Take me out to the ball game.
But yes, you're very easily able to find the Dees Nuts Company because you were explicitly told where they work.
All right. Do I see our boy here?
Oh gosh, do I have any kind of ballpark music? Don't think I do. That's a damn shame.
For somebody who's been talking about this for like
Does
4
not say anyone gets
sessions, you
this,
dropped the ball, B.
The elephant
I
walking.
know.
This
Whatever
is
that
your
song
whole
is.
thing.
God. I'll just have to improvise poorly. This is a happy song if I recall right. It's a little
Awfully
low
folksy
key.
baseball game.
Damn it.
I don't think we need to think about this hard.
It's
Yeah.
the bottom of the 8th, and the bases are loaded. Brown Stockings pitcher, Fillmore Wilkins, is up to bat. But yes, it is a bustling day. As I said, this is all still opening day for the Brown Stockings.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah. There is a bustling crowd around the stadium hoping to peek over fences where possible. Fillmore Jenkins made the winning catch! By God, what a play! And the crowd is going wild! You can hear
I
the
think they'd
roar
love
of
a
the
catch-on.
crowd. And, yes. Yes, you're able to... Are you planning on buying a ticket, or are you gonna sneak in, or...
I don't want to do any of these things.
Oh,
I want to be here.
no, you don't have to be
Do they
here.
Do they have any other like concessions outside?
You know, I imagine it would make relative sense for them to have a smaller storefront outside as well, because, like, just because people aren't gonna be buying tickets to actually go into the stadium doesn't mean they're not gonna be just standing around to watch. And if they're gonna do that, obviously they're gonna want to have something to eat. So,
Some salty nuts right in their mouth.
of course. Yeah, I
But
think...
not any nut. D's nuts.
Of course. Look, no one cracks a nut like Deese. That's a promise you can take to the bank.
Okay. So I'd like to go to the storefront.
All right, you patiently wait through a few people in the line for the opening day sales out here. You do eventually get up to the front of the line. Hello, sir. How would you like your nuts? We've got them boiled, we've got them salted, we've got them fried, we've got them hot, we've got them cold, we've got them in pots. Never 9 days old, though. That would expire.
I'm actually looking for a family member.
I'm sorry, sir. I've never met you before. I couldn't possibly recognize your family.
No, one of your possible family. His name was Curtis, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking for Curtis.
Curtis, you say? Did he get up to trouble? Did he get up to trouble
I
at his
suppose you could
job
say that.
again today?
I would not say he was up to trouble.
But you wouldn't
Uh,
not say it.
You
I think it's more
understand.
accurate to say he may be in trouble.
Oh, I'm gonna
Not
have to find
in
my hickory stick for this boy. If
Not
he
in
gets
that
in
way.
trouble one more time, I told him I'm gonna get the switch.
I mean that he might need help.
Oh,
Not that he has done something negative.
all right.
This time. I can't speak about any other time.
All right. Well. What exactly do you believe is happening here? Hey, you're holding up the line. Yeah,
turned
I
his-
need nuts.
Turn to Zenobia. Oh, you tell him.
I don't know if you believe it. I'll also take some salted nuts.
All right,
It-
sir. Thank you kindly, sir.
It has to do with his work for the paper.
The paper. All right.
Yes, we believe that there's been something potentially happening there at the paper with he and his friends, Mr. Judd and Bennett, and Judd Yoakum and Bennett Douglas, that we think that it would be helpful to at least get an opportunity to speak to him ahead of time before anything else occurs. We just want to make sure that everything is checked off and appropriate.
Of course. Well, I haven't seen Curtis yet. I assumed that he was still at work this afternoon. I know that they were releasing an afternoon edition today. Plenty of news, after all. In fact, it's probably going to be delivered before too long here. But as for his current whereabouts, I think he may have said something or another about needing to speak with one of his colleagues, a further along in the apprenticeship a young man or some such.
Do you happen to know where this man would be, or would he still be at the paper?
Well, he may still be at the paper yet. I believe, though, that I, if it's the lad that I think he was speaking with, you're holding up the line. If it's the lad that I think he was speaking of, then I believe I know the address. It's West 73rd Street.
Okay.
No, was it West Street by Eastwood? No, that couldn't have been it. I'm certain it was 73rd.
Do you know the name of the person?
Oh, that I believe that may have been that Judd boy.
Okay. I put down $10 and pay for the people behind me.
God damn.
Whoa, holy shit. All right.
They've been complaining.
God damn. Okay. So you have now paid for Christ.
What's a nut cost? Like 10 cents? Like,
Oh,
Enjoy the nuts. They're on the house.
let's see.
you know, if you just give them that for free, they'll never bother to work.
Yes, but charity is a good thing.
No, when needy people are involved, sure.
Sounds like a personal failing to me.
You're a personal failing.
Oh.
Oh, does the guinea pig perhaps feel the gnawing teeth, ready to chew away at my hardened exterior?
I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, it sounds like you
Oh,
shouldn't threaten this
no!
one with a good time.
I love to see you buck and bluster.
So you can get, if I am doing my math right, about like a 4-ounce bag, no, let's say a 6-ounce bag of nuts for 5 cents.
Wow.
So you have just paid for.
So like the day's worth of nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I paid for the day's worth of nuts.
There is cheering
200
and
nuts.
rejoicing. A couple of particularly rowdy fans who may have perhaps imbibed before the show are trying to lift you up onto their shoulders,
I am
lauding
both-
you as the Nut King.
How does it feel to gift 200 people with big salty nut bags?
I am the king of the nuts.
Is this something Ezra accepts?
I accept this.
Okay.
Oh, look at our lofty lord now, with his beholden throngs of the unwashed masses.
His beholden thongs.
Incredible. Oh, goodness. Alright. Eventually you manage to extract yourself from being carried about by the drunken, die-hard brown stockings baseball team fans long enough to get back with the rest of the group and carry on to wherever your next port of call is, if you decide to go to the paper or to the Yoakum estate.
I think the Yoakum estate.
Yeah, I imagine this is about the cursed papers, and so would
Well,
not be at work.
lead the way, O man of the people.
I will, though I am going to huff at that.
You hear a snark from Ambrose in the bag.
Does Mary hear this?
Make a auditory cognition check. So if you have any bonuses for listening.
That'd be from Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Iris, if you want to make a cognition check.
Yeah, I was pulling it up. Just straight cognition?
Unless you have, like, big ears or something else that boosts your hearing.
No.
Okay.
A 2.
You cannot hear him over the roaring chants of "Not king! Not king! Not,
Not
king!"
king! Oh, not king! I will.
No one finds it funny.
I will now have additional terms to refer to you in such endearing ways, my little guinea pig.
I feel like that's also the Ezra King 18 plus fan art
Nut
tag.
king? Yeah,
Nut
hashtag
king.
nut king.
Yeah.
I accept fan art of Ezra.
Where it,
Oh,
but it
I
would
was
be
turning
like
it down.
Doulahan loot art because of your husband.
The reverse
I'm a
of
motherfucker.
Dolahan does sound like an Irish sex position. I don't know what the reverse Doulahan entails, but I know it's very acrobatic.
Something the Irish are renowned
Happy
for.
it.
Yes, the renowned Irish acrobats, of course.
Well, a Dullahan is someone with their head missing. So a reverse Dullahan would be
Just the head. Just head.
It's just that's just a blowjob then. It's just an Irish blowjob.
Again, I accept fan art.
I
of
gave
all
him the
time.
old reverse Doulahan. All right, so yeah,
Nut
Ezra,
king in only head.
Ezra will bravely lead us to Mr. Yoakum's house.
Alright.
Do I need to streetwise or am I good?
Well, you have an address, so it's more just a matter of like, I mean, yeah, it may take you like slightly longer, but I mean, none of you are local here, so it's a matter of maybe like 10 to 30 minutes.
It's all a matter of tracking down the street.
But yes, you do eventually find the building. It is a collection of tenement apartments. So having
Never threw out the kid. He didn't throw the child.
Eat the child.
oh my gosh.
He jumped.
That's what the official reports say. That's what the body cam footage shows. That's too dark. Anywho.
So we come across the tenement apartments.
Mm-hmm. So, carrying on in there, you're able to look up through the directory the specific floor and number. You head up there to the 3rd floor, and the door is locked. However, there is a makeshift envelope that has been left there.
I take a look at what the envelope says.
The outside is addressed to Judd from Curtis.
Look inside. Look inside.
I will not look into someone else's mail.
I will.
Then take it from him.
Committing mail fraud.
What?
It's actually not
Not
mail fraud
mail
because we're not doing
fraud.
anything fraudulently.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's true.
It's tampering with the mail.
Mhm.
Now, tampering with the crime scene, fine, but I draw the line at tampering with the mail.
Have you seen how strong the post office men are?
Is this sleight of hand?
What exactly are you trying to do?
The second Ezra is like, I'm not opening it, Parrot's just gonna whip out their hand and grab it.
Would you try to contest that?
I don't think you would expect to contest it.
I think if it's uncontested, you can just grab that.
Okay, I'm grabbing it.
You have acquired one envelope.
I'm opening it.
All right. Inside, you find a note and then a collection of torn up little strips of paper. Do you read the note?
Yeah.
We can assume what the torn up strips of paper are.
Yeah.
The note says, Judd, or to Judd, rather. I don't know if this'll put a stop to it, but I've torn up all of the copies I could find again. I'm getting worried. I haven't heard anything from you nor from Bennett. Am I still doing something wrong? I gotta know what I'm supposed to do to fix this now. Please advise. Curtis.
Parrot's just gonna touch the scraps of paper real quick.
Give me that spirit check, babe.
Are they still cursed? Scrolling. Here we go. That's a 10.
All right. Would you like to stay?
Yeah.
Okay. You feel 1,000 miles away, and you get the distinct sensation of something weighing down on you. You can't look up. The weight on your head is pulling you down, the weight on your shoulders, the weight on your chest. It's this crushing downward gravitational force that seems like it's trying to pull you straight through the floor. You can't see it, but you know that whatever it is on top of you. It's riding you practically.
Hey, yo.
You can't look up to see it, but you feel something. And you see little drops of some black fluid dripping down over you. first lightly and then increasingly heavy until you are sitting through a downpour of this thick black fluid. And just as the weight becomes too unbearable and you feel like you're about to be crushed, that's when the pressure finally lets up. Your eyes shoot skyward, and there is nothing there.
Parrot drops the envelope and grabs Zenobia by the shoulders.
I pick up the
Zenobia.
envelope.
All right, just the envelope, or are you touching anything?
I am touching the pieces of paper too. I'm picking up anything she's
I
dropped.
gotta fondle it all now.
All right, give me a spirit check.
People freak
Fair.
out when they touch this stuff. I gotta one-up them.
God damn.
People freak out when they touch this stuff. I don't understand why people freak out when they touch this stuff. Just a little cold. Hold on, scrolling. There you go, spirit.
Another 8. Can parents say what they were gonna say before that's resolved?
Yeah, go for it.
Zenobia, hanging, drowning, crushing are always the people killed witches, right?
You know, now that you say that, that is, I believe, fairly correct. All we need now is somebody being burnt at the stake. Very just like nonchalant about it.
Yes, murder. That's what I'm hearing.
Ezra,
Cut to
You
Ezra
rolled
feeling
an
like he's
8.
burning.
Are you going to stay?
I'm going to stick with an 8.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
No scare tactics are gonna work here.
God, I hope it ends poorly. This would be so fucking hilarious.
Honestly, I do too.
Alright. The rest of the group, you see Ezra touches it and just sort of blinks there nonchalantly and then just kind of shrugs it off. I still have absolutely no idea what you're going on about. Ezra, you did not say that, but you felt yourself saying it.
What?
You do enjoy tempting fate.
You try to say that, and you don't.
Oh, you meant the what?
Yeah,
Or do you mean
the what.
I was like, what?
What?
You try and say that, but you don't.
Can I move my hands?
No.
I scream.
Give me another spirit roll.
I thought you were just gonna go, no, you don't.
Figure it out. You have nothing, no control over anything.
Oh.
I have too many windows open.
You got a 17.
Suddenly, I just scream.
You
I'm
don't know
going to ask one more time. Would you like to stay? Or would you like to do anything with that roll?
I'm going to take a 17.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Alright.
Are you sure is DM buzzword number 3?
You are struggling in the moment, and you feel something building up in your throat. You feel it pushing up against the back of your mouth, and finally it's forcing its way out. It's this deluge of black, viscous liquid that you are vomiting onto the floor as you scream out finally.
My nuts!
And you cannot remember why you're screaming.
Zenobia's gonna look at the black fluid.
You cannot
What?
remember. You cannot remember. Only the vague recollection of the doublethink of you don't think you said something, but you heard it. Did you actually say it? You can't recall.
He's just bent over there, kind of stupefied.
Give me... Goodness gracious. Give me a science chemistry roll if you would like to identify what the substance is.
I was bored.
I do not have chemistry.
Can we just collect some of it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What container are you using? Are you using the nut bag?
Sure.
You're just scooping the
I don't
this
think
this
we have a
viscous
petri dish on us, do
ooze.
we?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just scooping this viscous ooze into a brown paper bag for nuts.
Yep.
I like that he just vomits and you assume it's related.
I assume it's bad, but like black fucking
Yeah.
fluids coming out of you. That's you know,
Wait,
That
what if
ain't
you collect
normal.
normal puke? That
Yeah.
would be weird.
please don't make it weird.
You're already making it weird. Ugh.
So she'll
Weird.
collect
Ugh.
some black vomit and be like, "Well, I believe we should leave on account of the incredible scream you just did in the middle of an apartment building."
let's go, Kieran.
Did I
Yeah.
scream? I screamed. I don't know why. The hell?
That's
Zenobia's gonna
concerning.
fucking give him the smuggest look ever.
Don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you wish to touch more paper? Do you wish to doubt more? I'm sure we can find more for you.
We're
I'd love to see what other
leaving.
results.
Maybe there's a substance on. Oh, sorry, my phone is going off now. Sorry. In the middle of my rant.
Oh no. It's alright, I can't hear anything.
Right.
Yeah, I
Well,
put it on silent.
I can only hear the screams we can't remember.
Yep.
Look, there might be a substance on the paper. It doesn't necessarily mean it's supernatural.
I'm glad you found out you're allergic to nuts. What a coincidence!
Incredible.
And I'll take this opportunity to depart with my bag of nutty vomit.
Okay, where are you going?
I guess out is the biggest thing, just leaving the apartment building.
Okay.
And we didn't leave any papers behind, right?
No, we definitely took the envelope.
Okay.
Spotted with black vomit now, but we took
Yep.
it.
Where are you going exactly?
Zenobia will first sniff the bag of vomit,
Ugh.
trying to work past the smell of nuts.
Ezra heaves.
While you're doing this, I'll say this will be the last scene for tonight's episode. As I am so sorry that the last scene is of you is of you dry heaving after vomiting. But the last scene, you are tending to him on this street corner, and you can see off to the side of one of the stoops there is a paper which has just very recently been delivered, hot off the presses. You can see this is the afternoon edition of the Respondent. You recognize the headline, as you might expect it to be, is the murder.
Yep.
Right, the murder.
However, you notice a little underneath that, there's a little snippet of the article that mentions investigations are still ongoing, but according to the on-the-scene coroner's report done by a Mrs. Zenobia Morgana Whatley,
Oh, no.
the murder may in fact not have been done by the young Caroline, but by something far stranger, if the expert's words are to be believed. We are still seeking the office of the coroner in order to further corroborate Miss Whatley's reports. But according to the most recent accounts, our expert reporter's best idea of the situation is that she is certainly incredibly knowledgeable, and certainly to get to the bottom of whatever this mysterious going on is. And you can also see a photograph of a group of you coming out
Lol.
of the home of the victims.
Come on.
It could
no.
be worse. It could be worse.
That's just the kind of reporting you can expect from...
From Reese Phillips.
Am I
Oh.
clearly visible on the
I certainly
newspaper?
think you would be in the crowd.
It could literally only
Okay, this is
be
before
worse
I
if
joined,
I
okay.
had been there.
I'm just making
That's-
sure my character's face is not clearly visible on the newspaper.
Yeah, I think the only people that were leaving that was Ezra and me. Because I don't think we hadn't met Parrot because Parrot was chasing after the kid.
That's right,
And
Mary was-
and obviously our priest who is sometimes mentioned.
Yeah, he's just been hanging out,
Yeah.
working on something back at the hotel.
So those would be the three people in the picture.
Okay, just if my character had been in the clearly visible on the newspaper, it would have been bad.
Alright. But I think this will be where we will wrap it up today, because it's just about time to be moseying on out of here. And that's about as good of a ending point as we can make today.
I need to know what this vomit smells like.
Gosh, I mean, I can try to answer that question, but I think we'll have to wait until next session to do any detailed analysis of the expectorants of Ezra King. All right. Let's go through fast order backwards again for the recap here. So starting with our guest Tyrus. Who are you? Where can people find you?
I hope people can't find me. That's a little alarming. Like I said, technically I stream on Twitch, but it's been a hot minute, like over a year now. Stuff's been happening. That's about it, really.
Fair. And then we have Obsidia.
Hey everyone, I'm Cydia. I play your local vomit-sniffing weirdo, and part-time coroner, Zenobia. I am currently on stream hiatus. I'm looking to probably be back maybe in June for Pride Month to do some gay fundraising. But in the meantime, I am doing self-love hours, and I will be doing a Curse of Strahd campaign soon that will be recorded, and you guys should watch it. Many good beans are in it. We're all very gay. It's got a trans man, a gay man, and a bisexual woman, and a gay woman. It's literally everyone's queer.
That's true. That's what they say about the about both the Olive Garden and the LGBTQ community. If you're here, you're gay.
Never have truer words been spoken. So, yep, that's me.
And then we have Hemlock.
Hello. I'm Hemlock. I'm trying to use Blue Sky more. So follow me there. So that I'm not screaming into the void. Um, my next stream is going to be like a work with me as I put together keychains for this market, so that'll be pretty freaking chill. Hopefully this cold will be gone.
That's a mood.
We want it to be chill, not cold.
It's got to be less phlegmy. That's for freaking sure. But yeah, it's a lot of cozy streams. But commissions are still open.
And Epitome?
Hi, I'm Epitome. I was quiet for a lot of this episode. Please don't think too much on that. Summer's coming. Protect your skin. Use sunscreen. Anything over like 40 SPF, you don't need really. Generally, 30 is usually good enough. But still, use protective sunscreen, please.
I did not know.
Yeah, like the higher SPFs, once you get into like the 80s, the 90s, there's no real added benefit.
Interesting.
All right.
Now that's across the general population. I myself am extremely Irish.
Are you an
So
acrobat?
So I still tend to burn.
I mean, I've never seen him try to do a flip, so we can't confirm or deny that.
All right, so you hold off on the reverse Doulahan.
For now.
And I'm B. I've been here the whole time. I am your... I don't know, probably like... I like to think I'm at least a solid B, like B tier tabletop streamer when I'm actually able to tabletop stream, but
yeah, you obviously would be B tier. That's your name. It's a tier unto yourself.
That's true. Coincidentally, also between C and A tier. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this silly little ghost story that may or may not actually have any ghosts involved. And I hope that y'all will swing by more as we are able to stream more. So one bit of housekeeping I did want to touch on. Previously, we had been using the every other week model on Thursdays because that was simply what was available and suited best for the current day-to-day work schedules. But With new
But I ruined
jobs,
that.
with new jobs, that
You
changes
ruined it.
things. So we're going to be shifting to ideally probably still like 2 to 3 games per month. And I'm going to try to have generally at least a week of downtime so I can actually write what happens next in the story before I have to tell people what happens next in the story. But it won't be as regular, I'm sorry to say. Just like my bowels, it won't be as regular as I
Jesus
would like.
Christ.
Look, I had to take the pressure off of making Ezra vomit as the ending capstone for this episode. That's the bullet I'm willing to dive on.
I mean, you could just made another salty nuts joke.
I guess
Yeah.
that's true. Alright.
That Nut King in
But
Reverse
basically,
Callahan.
what I'm saying is you're going to have to keep an eye on social media, specifically Twitter and Discord at the moment, if you want to make sure that you're able to see all of the new episodes as they come out, which hopefully people are, still interested in doing that by the time we're able to do it again. Pleading face emoji, pointing left emoji, pointing right emoji. And I already know who we're gonna be rating today, so here's just real quickly socials. Oh, before that though, if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks! Happy trails! And hopefully, if you're watching this, that means I'll have actually uploaded more videos to YouTube. Here's hoping.
Hurrah, capitalism.